Happy Wednesday, everyone. May 11th, 2022. Nice to be with you again. It always feels like more weeks have gone by than actual reality. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm specifically happy to be talking about this subject today. Um, I am using my microphone, my Sennheiser 416. So I'm really hoping I got everything hooked up properly. So if you're here, please do let me know in the comments, and let me know that you can hear me. That would be really great. If not, I will very quickly make some adjustments. Um, so there you go. So demos, oh my goodness, this is such a big deal, right? It's a big deal for many reasons. Number one, they are the voice actors calling card. That it's like, actors, on-camera actors, they have headshots and resumes. Voice actors have demos. And so we do need them at particular points in our career. And yet, we can end up making them too early. We can make them before we're really ready. We can spend way too much money making them before we're ready. And then it ends up just being really an extraordinary cost and an extraordinary lesson. Loud and clear. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Brad. Hi, Yvonne. Um, so I want to say that, of course, as you know, this is my opinion and my perspective. Other people, I think, will have, it'll sort of be variations of a theme. I think that pretty much any person who's been in the business long enough and has utilized demos really will have quite similar sensibilities. Um, Again, there are variations in theme. I want to point you to um, a blog post I wrote last year. I want to say I'm gonna put it in the comments here so you can see it. Um, and it's all about demoing and when to make a demo. Um, so I would point you to it if you've never read it before. There are some helpful things in there and kind of a good perspective. So um, when and how you make a demo is really dependent upon where you are in your career. It's one of those chicken or the egg, right? You should have some experience before you make a demo, but you need some experience in order to make a demo, right? It's the same thing with joining the union. It's like you need to do union work in order to join the union, but you have to be in the union in order to get union work. So it's it's a bit of a conundrum, right? But let me say this. Initially, I want to say that if you're just beginning voiceover, you don't need to go spend $2,500 on a demo. You just don't. Okay. It's going to end up being money that you will have. I don't want to say wasted because we can learn something from everything, but it's an extraneous expense that you don't need to make right now. Okay. And so if you're just beginning, and I know a lot of people watching are well on their way, and really, and I'll get to you in a moment, but if you're just beginning, I want to say that if you have some decent gear, that really what you need in order to get yourself up onto pay to play sites, or in order to be able to give someone a sample, is just that. Record a sample of reading, whether it's a narration piece or whether you find a piece of commercial copy that you really like. Just go ahead and record it, right? And maybe put some music behind it, maybe not, right? I'm talking about 30 seconds perhaps, right? And maybe do one or two of those things. Because what you need in order to get on a site like Voice123 is to simply put up a sample. And putting up a sample will allow you then to fill out your profile and keyword it properly so that auditions are coming to you, right? People aren't going to be coming to your page specifically to listen to your demo. That's not how that's going to work in the beginning, right? You just need a presence on a pay-to-play site like Voice123, not the other major one, right? Which is not my favorite. But Voice123 is a good place to start. So that's all you need. So in comes the adage, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Okay. And from there, you can begin to audition. And from auditions, from a wealth of auditions, come opportunities, right? And possible bookings and some experience so that you can orient yourself to how the voiceover world works. Okay, so that's kind of a beginner idea. Okay, it's a beginner perspective, and we all have to start somewhere. Just because it's where you start doesn't mean it's where you're going to end, right? But we must begin, and I think that that is a reasonable thing to do in the beginning when you know, you're testing the waters, right? And you're not loaded with cash and can spend and spend, right? Which I wouldn't even recommend if you did have the money, right? So now to what if you've got some experience and you legit need a demo made? Perhaps you have a couple of years, several years under your belt, pursuing your own work, and you really need to up your game, right? And you need to present yourself in such a way. Okay, so there's an opportunity to consider having a demo done, right? So at the core for every voice actor is a commercial demo. Doesn't matter if your ideal is to do animation or your ideal is to do video games. We record professional demos largely in pursuit of an agent, right? Because most of the time, whatever the means by which we gain opportunity for work is through auditions that come to us, right? And again, if you don't have an agent, you're very likely using pay-to-play sites. And so those auditions come to you by virtue of what kind of page you've got. Okay, so what if you want to up your game and you want to pursue an agent, right? Every single agent that I am aware of will always say that a commercial demo is the foundation of the relationship, of the agent-talent relationship. Okay, so that's the one you want to start with. And from there, as your budget allows, then you would move on to whatever piece of specialty you're interested in. Now, if you really, really strictly want to do like narration work, your narration demo is going to follow right quick. Okay. And then your animation demo and then your video game demo. Sometimes people combine a video game animation demo. I did that in the beginning. And once I got some work and some experience under my belt, I separated the two and made a strictly animation demo and a strictly video game demo. So now comes the question, where do you go? Who do you trust? And how much money do you spend? These are really big questions. And I will tell you that I don't have really specific answers for you, because so much is dependent upon the relationship that you have with the person who's making your demo. What a piece of it, of course, is what their reputation is. A piece of it is what your budget will allow. So I think it's important that you listen to a lot of demos, that you listen to a lot of demos. Not that you listen to all of the work that the demo producer you're thinking of hiring, not listening to all of their work. They're going to present you with their absolute best work from their absolute best clients who may be in an echelon of voiceover that you have not met yet. Right? So it sets up an unrealistic expectation of what that demo producer can do for you, right? And what your demo is going to sound like in the end, right? So listen to demos all over the place. You can go to agency websites and listen to people's demos. And what I suggest that you listen to is their copy, because just about everyone I know who produces demos has great production skills. They're fantastic at all of the editing, right? And all of the soundscapes and the music that they provide. That's not in question. I could give you a handful of people and say, these guys are great producers. Every single place that it falls down for me when I listen and I help people with their demos and I get their copy and I work with them on their copy before they record for their demos, and I am struck by just how bad the copy is. And the copy is everything. Just like in voiceover, the script is everything, right? So really what we're after, and it's a difficult path to navigate, frankly. Like how do you know, right? How do you know what kind of copy they're going to provide? Most demo producers, right? They wow, I look like a crazy person. They do provide copy, right? They wow, okay, get a grip, kid. Sorry. So they do provide copy. And the reason I'm having such trouble is because it's like not a mirror image. Oh man, I wish I had an edit button. So they do provide copy, and so demo producers become sort of like mass copy producers. But the problem is, for the most part, they actually aren't copywriters. They didn't come from the world of advertising, right? Copywriting is a unique skill. Like it's kind of extraordinary to be able to communicate in 15 seconds or 30 seconds or 60 seconds. You know, a brand. It's a remarkable skill, and that is the stumbling block. And so whenever you're examining someone and considering someone, it's important to listen to what kind of copy they are using, right? And I would say you want to be highly involved in what kind of copy is used for your demo. And a suggestion that I have is to, again, search out commercials. You can do it on YouTube. You can do it on iSpot TV. You can search out commercials that are no longer on the air, right? And really listen for great copy. And I think I don't want to just say you know it when you hear it, but you kind of do. It's a skill you really need to develop, right? What makes for a great piece of copy? Then take pieces of copy that already exist, they've been on the air, they're now off the air, and see what you can do to massage them. Perhaps use a competitor's name in its place, or as long as it fits the brand, right? That you're talking about, that you're advertising, you know. It's just really important that your copywriter, whoever your demo producer is, isn't just writing really flat, generic copy, because that is the death knell of a demo. It truly is. And so it's a conundrum. And I am in the midst of talking to a couple of coaches and people that I know about sort of how to solve this problem, because it really is the biggest stumbling block. So I want to say that you want to, again, you want to listen for demos. You want to check in with coaches who aren't necessarily attached to particular demo producers. I know that's all kind of nutty, but you really have to put on, you really have to be sort of a forensic voice actor. You know, you got to go in for the details and find out, you know, and really do your research, right? You don't want to just hand over blind trust to a demo producer. As much as I hire demo producers, right? Like for my own. But I make sure that I am working very closely, right? And just because a demo producer presents me with a particular piece of copy doesn't mean I'm not going to scrutinize it and say, you know what, this piece of copy doesn't make sense to me, or this piece of copy, it doesn't work for me. That's not what I would audition for. It's outside my wheelhouse, right? So I work closely, and beware the demo producer that doesn't want to work closely with you, right? They are not gods. Agents are not gods. Demo producers are not gods. And any one of them worth their salt is going to collaborate with you. Okay. So I'm sort of working on a set of resources, to be able to, because I really want to provide, concrete help and assistance with regard to the whole copy piece. Because again, every demo producer I know has really great production skills. And so ask about the copy. Who writes the copy? What are their qualifications to write copy? You may piss some demo producers off by asking that question. Well, then you know that that's not the demo producer you want to work with, right? You are paying them big money to get the thing that will best represent you, right? So it needs to be collaboration, right? And they need to be open and honest about, where they are, what kinds of stuff they write, and, all of that. So, I just feel like I went off on a tangent, but I didn't, because we're still talking about demos. Let me see if anybody has a comment here. Jeff Burns, hello, sweetheart. Took me 8 years to make the first two, and I'm going in for my third in 2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, they're so expensive, and hi, Emily. Nice to see you here. Miguel, hello. And Vince, hi. Thank you for being here. It's, demos are a super hot topic, frankly, and they are a business, just like coaching is a business. And you have to keep your wits about you, because we all advertise our services, right? Are our services better because we have better advertising? Not necessarily. I use demo producers who don't advertise at all, and they're good. And so, we have to really, we have to be pretty keen, and watch and listen, and don't just trust the advertising. You have to dig in, right? And it may be that there's truth in the advertising, and that someone who advertises a lot is lives up to the hype, their own hype, right? But again, it's like you're sleuthing, right? You got to sleuth. So in terms of the cost, of demos, I find that they range from anywhere between $1,500 and $2,500, and $2,500 is a lot of money to spend on a demo. And anything above that, this feels a little like poaching to me. I'm being so direct and blunt, but it's true. I mean, so I think there are a couple things that you need to be mindful of when you're spending a demo, spending so much money on a demo. You need to, again, you need to make sure that it's a collaborative relationship, right? And then once production gets rolling and you've recorded, there needs to be some flexibility in there when you finally hear particular spots that have been put together, and how they sound, and if they work. And there needs to be versions built into the cost, right? So it's not like somebody just says, all right, I've recorded your stuff, I've put it in this order, here's your demo, we're done. No, it's like there has to be, again, a back and forth, a collaborative effort. When I did my promo demo, we went back and forth several times. There was one spot that I did where it was designed to be kind of a funny spot, and the timing was off and the joke was lost, right? So we went back several times to tighten up the joke and make the joke work. Because if the joke doesn't work, like, what's the spot there for? And that was no problem. It was like, yeah, this part, point 0.6 of a second needs to come out, like that kind of scrutiny, right? And then once we got to where we were happy, right, then I let my agent review it, and they had a different order. And guess who's king in deciding what order, things go in a demo? If you've got an agent, it's your agent because they're the ones who are going to use the demo to pitch you, right? So now if you're after a demo in order to secure an agent, whew, like that's, talk about pressure. It feels like just big pressure to me. Like, well, if I don't get the right demo, it's not in the right order, it's not the right, I've spent all this money and I still can't get an agent. So let me tell you, it's really hard to get an agent. I know this isn't news, but having a great demo is only a piece of the pie. That's it. There are so many other factors in what's going to attract an agent to you, right? But having a great demo is certainly a piece of the puzzle, right? I know people who put together fantastic demos who really, had to work even extra hard to finally secure representation. And just because you may make a fantastic demo doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to initially sign with a sort of an A-list agent. It may be that you start elsewhere, at a C or a B level, all which are good, that they're necessary, right? It's like we want to dip our toe in the pool, right? And as we gain more experience, and we have more audition opportunities and we book work, right? You have to think of your career as being, it's a lot of steps. I've been with 4 agencies in my career, and each one of them provided extraordinary experience for me. And I learned so many things about myself, about my work, about how the voiceover world works, about agency relationships, about even the different levels of agencies and what each of them is able to provide, so making a great demo, is a piece of the puzzle. Again, it's a piece of the puzzle of landing an agent. And I think, again, to have the patience to persevere without an agent, perhaps adding to the pieces that you make for yourself, so that you can continue to properly represent yourself and where you are in your experience level, on the pay-to-play sites that you use, until such time as you go, you know what? I've been doing this for 5 years, and I've worked and I have experience, and I'm really ready to seek out work on a different path. I'm sort of adding little caveats to this subject to say that getting an agent is not necessarily for everyone. It's not. It's not the be all end all. It's not going to make or break your career for the most part. You can have a great career pursuing your own work, right? So I just want to throw that in, right? It's not sort of like, oh, I landed an agent, therefore I have arrived. Nope. It's a different path for opportunity is what that is, right? Someone asked me on the thread, or asked all of us on the thread, about whether or not we should get demos from the same people if you find a company that you really like, and should you make all of your demos with them. And my comment initially there was, no, I don't think so. I think you want your demos to sound different. You want them to have different production values. Now, it may be that a particular demo producing company has a variety of people who coach and produce their demos, and they have, and each of those people inside of that company have different areas of specialty. Now, if that's the case, that's something to consider. But what you really want are the experts in the genre for which you're looking to do a demo. That's what you want, right? So I did a different demo. I used a different producer for my promo demo. I used a different producer for my commercial demo. I haven't done a new commercial demo in decades because I do my own producing, if you will. I kind of add pieces and take away others, and I rearrange things. But but only based on whether or not the work that I've done is good and worthy of being on a demo. I do Most of the work I do isn't worthy of being on a demo. So, but I do try to sort of update it, shift things around myself. Um, so, but I would use a different commercial demo producer than say my promo producer, uh, and different than an animation producer, different than a video game producer, because again, they're all such unique genres of voiceover. But again, you're not looking to do 5 demos, all at once. Um, you really want to start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. I've talked so much. Oh my God, it's 26 after the hour. I'm just going to look and see if you have any questions. And if you do, please, please, please ask them. Hey, Michelle. Direct and blunt is great. I'm glad, Stephanie. Good. Um, Yvonne, I've worked with a few actors lately who were provided copy way outside their wheelhouse. Yeah, it's led to awkward but important conversations about collaboration and maintaining control over your own demo. Such a huge perspective there, Yvonne. Yeah, this notion, I think that I think there's this idea that a commercial demo, you have to show your range, right? And so, I've had people say, well, I'm really interested in animation, and I know that I should do a commercial demo first. So I thought I would just do kind of a character piece on my commercial demo. And I'm like, stop, no. Like a commercial demo, really, unless you are through and through a character actor, what you want on your commercial demo is to be you. People want to know who you are. What's the through line? What's the thread where every spot on it is like, oh yeah, that's K-Bess. Yeah, that's K-Bess too. Yeah, that's K-Bess. But they're all different spots, but they're completely in my wheelhouse. They are my wheelhouse, in commercial stuff. I don't stray from it. You want differences, you want nuanced differences so that the demo itself, production wise, is pleasing to the ear. But this is not about showing how I can do accents for a particular type of commercial, or how I can play an 80-year-old woman, or how I can try my best to sound like I'm 20. I'm a middle-aged woman. I stick to that, 40 to 60. That's where I live. And I have a soft, authoritative sound. And so that's the parameter, right? And so I show that with, I can do financial things. I can do healthcare things. I can do, retail, stuff like that, right? And if you listen to my demo, that's what you hear. So doing a demo, you want to stay in your wheelhouse, and you're not after showing great range. You have to be patient with that, right? Your range is going to end up living over the course of time, right? I did commercial and promo voiceover for the first 25 years of my career, right? And now I can look and I can see that people look and go, oh, I'm versatile because I do animation, and I do video games, and I do, narration, and I do live announcing. And so but oh my God, it took a whole career to develop that sense of range in my work, right? But in a commercial demo, we are after y- totally your wheelhouse, who you are, right? So as if I'm impassioned, but I hope I'm clear. Let me see here. Yeah, okay. So Jeff did both character demos with the same team because they had experts who worked in animation and games all the time. Great, good, yeah, fantastic. When I first did I did a combined animation video game demo, and I did it with one person, right? And again, I did that because I had no work in there, from which to draw on to make demos. So it was brand new demo, right? Made out of whole cloth, and eventually, I divided them up, right? Um, so so again, I think that's probably the only category in which you can combine, right? But you're still staying true to who you are in that, right? Um, and I think that animation and video games, they have some crossover. There's character work in video games, there's realistic work in animation, right? So I think you can get away with it, right? But eventually, you don't want it to stay there. I think you want to make them distinct eventually. But you can certainly start there. But that is untrue with a commercial demo. You want what's totally in your wheelhouse. You want the through line of who you are. Um, Let me see if there are any other. Nope, that's it. Okay, fantastic. So I hope you will go and visit that to demo or not to demo blog post because again, there's more sort of intricate information about when you're ready and all of that um, and so just know that I hear you with regard to the conundrum of demos, and I share the conundrum, um, and particularly as it concerns copy, because just like all of our auditions, copy is king, and you can have great production and crappy copy, and you're not going to end up with a good demo, or one that somebody wants to listen to and is drawn into, right? So, um, thank you so much for hanging with me all this time. If you have any questions or other comments, please feel free to put them in the comment thread, whether you're on this live or whether you're watching it in replay or whether you're watching it on Facebook. Sorry, on YouTube. And of course, get in touch with me however you may, and I'm so happy to answer any questions and help any way I can. So who knows what the topic is next week, but I will look forward to seeing you then, and have a great rest of your Wednesday and a great rest of the week. Take care. Ciao.